all of our girls, and they're going up against studs from different states or our state. And one of my girls that was wrestling, she was nervous and scared because the girl she was going up against took second in state in California, and our girl didn't place in state. And she's like, Coach, I got so-and-so. I said, what are you afraid of? There's nothing to be afraid of. Just go out there and wrestle. And I got in her head and I let her know, stop, just go have fun, and I coached her up. She ended up beating that girl. And then it was a domino effect. All these girls won. And Donnie comes out and he goes, what the hell happened? And I was like, oh man, I'm in trouble. Like I did something wrong. And I said, I don't know what. And he goes, how did she beat her? And I told him.
Well, I love the San Gabriel Valley.
Welcome to the My SGV podcast.
So I grew up here and I still live in Alhambra.
I was raised in between Temple City and Alhambra.
Eventually resided in South San Gabriel.
Our mission is to capture and share the stories of the people of the San Gabriel Valley.
Monte Park has pretty much been my whole life.
Well, I'm proud to say that I was born and raised in the San Gabriel Valley.
We believe our diversity is what makes the SGV great. And no matter where you are from in the San Gabriel Valley, you will feel welcome. All right, SGVers, welcome back to another episode of the My SGV podcast. Thank you for tuning in. If you are new here, we bring you the stories of the people of the San Gabriel Valley. And if you are a returning listener, thank you so much for spending the time with us. We do appreciate it. Well, Victoria, take two.
Yeah.
Have you ever witnessed or been witness to any fights in your life?
None that come to mind at the moment. Just be roughhousing between my brothers, and we would have to, help stop it before it got too violent.
I see. Well, I have been witness to a few fights in my life. One of them I described on the show happened at my alma mater, my high school. And after posting that reel about the fight, someone had reached out through Instagram and said, hey, I'm that person that you're talking about. I was there. I was like, that's interesting. Let me first see if this is true, right? And so I met online with this individual, and I believe that they actually were the person there. And we sort of chatted before the show, and we had a little fiasco with the mics, but that's all behind us now. And now we're dealing with our second fiasco where we didn't hit record. Actually, that's maybe the first time ever.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the first time ever. So, sort of thrown off this morning, but we're going to get through it. We're going to get through it. So before we get to our guests, though, thank you to Paris Baguette for sponsoring the delicious pastries every week for them. Find them in the city of San Gabriel on Las Tunas Boulevard. Check them out. Paris Baguette, say hi to Jason for us. All right. He's a true mentor who's been through life's toughest battles and come out on the other side stronger, wiser, and ready to make a difference. Growing up without parents and navigating life on the streets, he learned firsthand what it takes to overcome adversity and find purpose. Now, as the Lead Campus Supervisor at San Dimas High School, he's using his journey to inspire the next generation, teaching students that there's more to life than the challenges right in front of them. Named Coach of the Year by both the San Gabriel Valley Tribune and the Daily Bulletin Inland Valley, and at work, he's earned the honor of Saint of the Month for his dedication to his students. A devoted coach of wrestling, football, and girls flag football, he's not just shaping athletes, he's shaping resilient, thoughtful individuals. He's a father of 4, a grandfather of 2, and a true role model who's living proof that anyone can break through adversity. Let's welcome Jaime Sr.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Yeah, so that was an interesting reach out from you, if you remember, right?
Yes, I do.
So before we get into your story, so tell me how did you become aware of that reel and that whole thing?
Well, I was normally just go scrolling through my Instagram, and one of my closest friends, one of my best friends, sent me a snapshot. Sent me the link. Didn't say nothing, and I saw the high school on there, so I was like, okay, well, something's happening. That couple, their football team is not doing good still. What is it? And then I heard you talk about the riot. And when you talked about the riot, I was like, oh no. I never thought that it would come out, right? This is 30 years ago, 32 years ago. And I put it all behind me. Like, okay, I did what I did. So when I watched it, it just, my gut just twisted. Like, oh no, here I go. And so the first person I called was my wife. Again, I guess we explained before, I had just let go of her hand. We're 2 weeks into our relationship.
You mean at that moment?
At that moment, yeah. So that all just kicked in. It's like, it just, as if it happened yesterday. So sending me that link, I just like, oh man, as you get older, you don't look at those things as you did when you were younger as like, oh man, it's a positive. You look at it like, man, I learned from that. And maybe I shouldn't have done certain things, but now that I look back and it's like, man, that helped me in ways like no other people can say. It helped me in a lot of ways. Just dealing with the fact that, with one, I was labeled a racist after that because nobody knew the key secret that I've always possessed that nobody paid attention to was that, yes, it was Asians versus Latinos. And yes, I look very Latino, but I'm part Chinese. So nobody knew that, but I was labeled a racist. So all those things, dealing with racism, dealing with fights, and everything, and that all just played a major role in the things of how I deal with things now.
Yeah. And for the listening audience who may not know what we're talking about, I was describing the riots at our high school, and one vivid memory that I had, and actually no one has ever said that to me. No one has ever said, remember when that happened? Only it exists in my memory. No one has ever said that, right? And then I would question, like, did that actually happen? Because no one has ever said it. But I recalled from the fight the sound of someone's head being hitting the concrete, and that I would never forget that because it was so like disturbing to me, right? Like like just the sound of it alone was so bad. And so you were the individual who had actually done that. And, first of all, I want to say thank you for coming today. I know that you're not here to defend yourself because I spoke to you, right? And you're more here to share the growth from that journey. But before we get into that whole story, Jesse, what's your connection to the San Gabriel Valley?
I was born and raised here, in the San Gabriel Valley. I grew up a lot of my time, for the first 11 years in El Monte, with my mom and my brothers. Then I ventured into Baldwin Park for a year, well, not even a year, and then I moved to Rosemead. And I grew up in the hills with my aunt, and having to go through all that. So the connection that I have here is, just going to school and learning so much about the surrounding areas other than just the one particular one that I was at, just, being at Keppel, that was my main thing. Being at Keppel, and that was the huge thing that we did. Learning my ancestry because of the Asian community that we have, and then you go down the street and then it's the Latino areas, So that my connection is within that.
What was life like for you as a young child growing up here?
Wasn't good. As mentioned before, I didn't have a father. My mom passed away when I was 12. She had lupus, and at the time there was no help for it. So just to lose your mother at a young age, and then prior to that, I was a product of, I could talk about my life. It's not a problem. I was molested as a child. Not only was I molested as a child, but I was beaten as a child. I had an aggressive stepfather that did certain things where I'd have to pick up dog feces with my hands, go to bed without dinner. Everybody in my household, my sisters, my younger siblings, and my older brother, they had furnished rooms. I didn't have nothing. I didn't have no curtains on my door, on my windows. All I had was a safe, a bassinet, and a dresser. That's it. No bed, no nothing. So I look at those things and I don't feel sorry for myself. And the reason why I don't feel sorry for myself is because that's what, God intended for me to go through. and put me through those things to see how strong I can push through. And I did, and as a kid, you don't know these things. As a kid, why me? Why is this happening to me? And I did have two older brothers. I do have two older brothers that used to make me fight all the time. So they would make me aggressive. It's the old notion of people are afraid of pit bulls. And why are they afraid of pit bulls? Because people use them to fight. They breed them to fight. So when you have pit bulls, everybody's naturally scared of them. They're aggressive dogs. No, they're not. They were just trained to be like that. That was me. I had two older brothers that say, hey, go fight that kid over there. Why? He didn't do nothing. If you don't go fight him, then we're going to beat you up. Then we're going to let mom know, and then mom will beat you up because you got your butt whipped by that kid. So there was a lot to it, and I know brothers are being brothers. They just want to see their little brother being strong, and plus they're having fun. But it made me aggressive. It made me even more aggressive. So dealing with the physical abuse, dealing with the sexual abuse, dealing with that type of abuse really made me angry, and angry as I went on. So when dealing with my stepfather at the time, I didn't like him and he didn't like me. I wasn't his. So naturally, he's not going to treat me like the way he would his own blood. And I get it, which is till today. I have 4 children that are from my wife and I. I don't have no children with anybody else, nor would I take care of anybody else's child because I don't want them to feel the way that I did, where I didn't have nothing and nobody cared for me. And in a lot of these things as a youngster, you look at it and it's like, man, I hate this person. I hate this and this and that. And, why is my mom letting this happen? And I blame my mom for a lot of it. But then I realized later on in life that she was stuck. She had 3 kids with this man. She didn't work. She took care of home. And her son's not getting along with her husband, but her husband is the one supporting the family. What am I to do? So... I didn't think about those things as a kid because you don't. But as you get older, you start realizing all these different things. So dealing with all this stuff, my childhood was, man, I know kids today and prior, a lot of people have it a lot worse than I did, but I had it pretty bad too. And I'm not going to compare those two because there's no comparison because everybody has their own story. My story is this. This is what it is. So when comes down to it, I was labeled a runaway in the system. If you pulled up my name as a kid, I ran away 7 times. I didn't want to be home. I ran away. I was sent to go live on a farm in Texas 2 summers in a row because I was a bad kid. I was always fighting and doing everything. So they sent me to Texas thinking that was going to shape me up. No, it just made me more angry. So when I got back, it was worse. Being out away from your mom and your siblings, and you're isolated on a farm, no TV. There was no TV. There was nothing to do. Dirt road. The fun thing was to do was they take me to go pick up onions on the side of the road. Or we go down to Juarez and they go get fresh tortillas made, which that wasn't bad. That was good. But, and the cooking in Texas is really good. The Tex-Mex food, oh my gosh, you can't compare. But those fond memories that I have are always going to stay in my mind. But being away as a child from your parent was tormenting. I remember crying at night because I wanted to go back home. But here I am, 3 states away, 2 to 3 states away. So as angry as I was as a kid, I got back even angrier, only to be told that I was going to be sent to go live with my aunt because they couldn't handle me no more because I was a bad kid. So here I am again, abused, whatever, physically, mentally, emotionally. I'm being abused, and to be told that they don't want me no more. That's rough on a kid, 11-year-old kid to go through that, and to hear your mom say that, who you love dearly, no matter how bad she might have treated us or good she treated us, because I'll be honest, my mom didn't treat me bad. My mom was my queen. That was my queen. Everybody has a queen, and you always get one, and that's your queen. And she she took care of me the best that she could. Now, mind you, my mom didn't have a great childhood either. You know, from little what I do know, she was sent to juvenile hall. You know, and then in return, now here's a cycle, right? We got a cycle. I'm going to be sent to juvenile hall. And I remember the last time before I ran away, she was on the phone with juvenile hall. And that's when I took off, and I never seen her again. You know, I never spoke to her again. You know, and that was 11 years of my life, you know, that I had with her. And then when I did run away, you know, like I said, I'm going through all these emotions. I'm living with my aunt, you know, and her husband. And I go there, and it's a loving home too. You know, and my aunt's my mother's sister, oldest sister, and she took care of me as her own. But I just remember having to, you know, trying to let go of a lot of these emotions that I had, but it was so hard as a kid, and your mom don't want you, you know, and you know, that's what you thought. And then to get the news that she died, and that killed me even more, you know, because all the anger that I had turned into a lot of hurt, because when she died when I was 12, all I could think about is, why was I a bad kid? Why did I treat her bad? Why did I hurt her? Why did I run away? And then I never got to say I'm sorry. I never got to say I love you. I never got to get that last hug in. I never got all that. So time I was 12, all the anger and everything I had turned into hurt and anger as I got older. You know, so that childhood was rough. That was rough for me. You know, up until I was 12 years old, that was really rough. And then there was a different portion of my life after that that got even worse. You know.
Yeah, it sounds like that's quite a difficult way to grow up. And I'm always baffled by adults, professionals even, who see a hurt child and not know that, like, okay, there's something more to this. Like, I don't believe that there's a child who's like, this is a bad child. I believe that they're experiencing difficulty, and this is the only way they know how to express it, right? Mm-hmm. Did you have anybody at that time that was like that knew what you were going through, that was like on your side, that you felt like, okay, this person sees me, this person knows me?
No, because that second part of my life after my mother passed away, everybody always said, oh, don't worry about it. She's in a better place. But nobody ever asked me, was I in a better place? And that was the problem. People don't know that I used to sit at home when nobody was home, and I'd put a knife to my neck. I would literally pierce little skin through my skin with a knife in my gut because I wanted to die. Yeah, I wanted to die because my mom was no longer here. So people didn't know, not my aunt, nobody in the household knew that when they would leave, I would hold my mom's frame. It had a little rose on her from her funeral. It had her picture on there and the card. And I would play her songs, and I would just sit there and cry. I would just bawl out, you know, because I missed her so much. You know, I wanted to know, why did she die? Why did I kill her? Why did I kill her? That's how I thought. I thought I killed her. I thought I broke her heart and led to this. You know, and so I would, when nobody was home, I would go and look into these things, and I'd look for her death certificate. My aunt had it in her closet, and I found it and read everything on there. But as a child, you don't know what it means. You just know that they died, and it doesn't. You don't understand the meaning of why. And all I can do is just feel like, man, I killed her. I killed her. It was me. You know, I broke her heart. You know, and nobody ever. I had my brothers. My oldest brother, he was already out, you know, doing his own thing, and you know, he was remorseful, but he was to himself, you know, and rightfully so. You know, he was the oldest. My other brother, he was in college. He had a full ride scholarship to Cal State Fullerton, and he ended up dropping out because it killed him, you know, with my mom dying, you know, and then it came, you know, neither one of them was around with me because they were already older. So they never really checked in on me. They needed to check on themselves too. You know, I mean, they're hurting just as well. but me being the baby boy, I didn't have nobody, and and my aunts and my uncles, nobody ever took the time to talk to me. My cousins, they didn't know what I was going through. I did have a cousin that she would tell me it's okay, she's in a better place, but she's my age, she don't know any better either. She's never had that. She has her mom, she has her dad. They didn't understand that, but nobody ever checked in on me, and I think that had a lot to play in as I got older, getting more angry. Yeah.
So you sort of laid the framework for who you were at this time, like leading up to, and understandably you would have been a very hurt and angry person at that age. So not even your friends at Keppel knew, teachers didn't know all the depth of what you were going through. So Jesse, can you take us through like that time, what did you experience leading up to those riots, and then, your perspective on that day?
Yeah. So, I was a sophomore at the time. I had just got together with my girlfriend, by the way, who's my wife of 31 years. We had just gotten together 2 weeks in, and prior to that, within those 2 weeks, you hear about, oh, this kid got jumped. Asians jumped him. And then you'd hear, oh, this Asian kid got jumped. So my head was always on a swivel, making sure, like, okay, if I got to fight, I'm going to fight, But it started with the rebel clan back in the day, right? The little rebel clan that they had, and I don't know what transpired from there. All I just know is how one day somebody got jumped, another day somebody else got jumped, and it was back and forth. But all the football players stood away from it. All the wrestlers stood away from it. We all just kept in our own group. We always stood on the covered eating area on the far side, and we just made sure we stood away, and you hear about, oh yeah, so-and-so this, so-and-so that, like, dang, that's messed up, and each time, I pretty much stood away, not just because of sport, but I had interest in my girlfriend, She was a senior, I was a sophomore, so naturally you're a big man on campus, right? You're dating an older girl. So I was into her and stood away from all that stuff. And you just hear about certain things, back and forth. And then that's when the day came, where it all just blew out of proportion.
So where were you when that like sort of event?
So I was coming from the science building. We were coming from the science building where the bungalows were on the right side. And we were walking down that walkway, or down the walkway between the lunch court and the bungalows. And she was going to go to the snack spot, the little where they sold the candies and stuff on the side.
Chick.
Yeah. So she was going over there, and I let go of her hand, and I started walking to the left where all the football players and everybody were sitting. And as soon as I got over there, that's when everything just popped off, and it was the one guy, his name was Jesse. He was the one that I saw start everything. Like, that's how I seen it and remember it erupting right then and there. Once one punch was flown, then next thing you know, it's the whole quad area. Everybody's fighting, and that was like, whoa, now it's real. And I just kept to myself. And at the time, in the split moment, I'm thinking about her. I'm thinking about my wife, my girlfriend. And I'm thinking about her, but then I got to keep my head on a swivel just to make sure. And that's when, it didn't matter who threw a punch at me. It could have been a white kid. It could have been a black kid. It could have been a Mexican kid. It didn't matter who threw a punch. Somebody was going to get dropped. And it happened to be, and I saw the Asian kid chasing one of my other buddies, and they ran right into me, and he threw a punch. And because I have a wrestling background, what I did was I locked up with him. And it's called a suplex. And it was a belly-to-belly suplex, meaning my belly was on his belly, and I locked him up, and I launched him over my head right onto the concrete. So his forehead, everything hit the concrete. And then I got on top, and I started punching him. And that's when, I don't know if you remember Mr. Milky. Mr. Milky, like 6'4", 6'5", 280-pound grown man. He actually got on top of me and he said, "I got you now, punk." And I laughed at him. And he got mad. He said, "Why are you laughing?" And I just told him, "You know I can get out of this, right?" And he was just like, "What?" And I said, "You have me in a move that I'm used to. I'm a wrestler." And he goes, "Well, I'm going to let you up." And I said, "Okay, I'm going to get up. I'm good. I'm not going to fight you." You know, and I got up and he was pretty hot because, of course, you know, the nature of the beast there is this, everybody's fighting. And then he asked me, "Why'd you do that?" And I told him. He threw a punch at me. I just defended myself. He's like, "What?" And I told him. He said, "He threw a punch at me and I just defended myself." "So you weren't a part of it?" "No. I was standing over there and he came and he threw a punch." And then he calmed down and he listened to me and he goes, "Okay, let them know in the office. You know, we take you and let them know in the office." Because I remember, and I have a lot of friends that they all remember. And again, my wife, you know, she was right there. She saw it all. And everybody, as well as myself, said, because of that loud noise that it made on when you slammed that kid on his head, that stopped the whole riot. Like everybody just turned and stopped. Like, what the heck was that noise? And that's what stopped it all. You know, so that was like, okay, well, I guess that was a reason for it to stop. You know, to hearing that loud noise. So with going in the office and talking to I don't remember who I was talking to. I just remember telling them my story. And then I got suspended. You know, I got suspended for fighting. And then, which led to an expulsion. I was expelled from the school. And they were trying to expel me from the school district. And that's when Mr. Chavez, which was the principal, he actually labeled me as a racist. You know, and I never forgave that man for that, because I'm looking at him where he sees me as a Hispanic. He's a Hispanic, but he's labeled me as a racist, and he had no idea that I was part Chinese. So that all came into play when they reinstated me back into the school, because they had to provide my mom's death certificate to show, hey, he is part Chinese. His mom was Chinese. And that's how that all played out, you know, from the time it started to the time I got back into school.
So beyond the suspension, expulsion, and coming back, what were the other, ramifications, or how that event like shaped you going forward?
Well, you know, as a kid, naturally, you look at it differently as a kid. Like, yeah, ain't nobody gonna mess with me now. You know, go ahead and try me, see what happens. That was the notion. You know, things changed where I was a sophomore. Yes, I had a senior girlfriend, but I had all the juniors and seniors that were hanging around with me. Like, they started hanging around with me. Like, hey, you know, guys I already knew that I would hang around with. They were juniors and seniors already, because I played football with them. But then you saw guys that didn't play sports and girls that didn't play sports that, oh, they accepted me like, oh man, that's the dude like you don't want to mess with. And at the time, you know, it feels good, right, as a kid, because you're a kid, like, oh, this is what I did. You know, getting older, it doesn't. No, that's not what should have happened. You shouldn't be acting like that. But again, I was fighting grown men when I was 16, 17 years old. You know, so it didn't really faze me any as far as like, oh, I can fight anybody. I already had that mentality, you know. But going forward, you know, nobody actually tried to press me like that no more. You know, nobody wanted to, and that was the notion. Like, don't mess with that guy. That guy will do something to you. And it happened where when I got back to school, you know, I caught up on all my credits. I actually surpassed all my credits because I was under house arrest. And I can only go one place, and that was to independent study. I had to go over here on Valley. There was a school right before Norms, where Norms was at, and I had to go in there. I had to get my packet. They tell me what to do. I had to, before I left home, I had to check out. I had to call. I don't remember who I had to call, but I had to call them know I'm going to school. I had to let them know when I got into school. And then I had to let them know when I was leaving school, and then I had to let them know when I checked back into the house, because they didn't put a monitor on me, but it was more like, he's a kid. Your guardian they have to take care of you, make sure that you're doing this. Otherwise, then I would have to have a monitor. So they did that. So I got all my credits. So when I got back to school, I already had passed all my classes. So I was just pretty much in the class and just did what I needed to do. But I didn't act out. I still, even though I was that guy, I didn't act out. I was back to normal. Like, okay, I'm here. I'm with my friends. I'm back at school with my girlfriend. I'm able to kick it with her, and it changed more so because now I can do no wrong, and that was more so because I was labeled a racist, and now they were walking on eggshells because I had proved them wrong. Back then, had I known about it, that could have been a huge lawsuit, for defamation of character and all that, everything that went involved with it. But I didn't press it. My aunt didn't press it, nothing like that. As long as I got back into school, I was able to go to grad night with my girlfriend. I didn't have to do the finals because I already had passed the classes. They just go have fun in grad night. So here's a sophomore going to grad night with a senior. Junior year comes, nothing's changed, but I did have a class with the guy that I actually threw on his head, and he sat next to me, and he never looked at me. And I remember seeing him, but I didn't feel no animosity towards him or nothing. I was like, oh, it is what it is. And we just sat next to each other. I never talked to him, I never interacted with him, and he never looked at me. Even though, when you go into class, people look around. He never looked at me. And I just left it like that. He just never had no problems with that. I never had no problems with any of the Asian gangs. I knew a lot of the Asian gang members that were there with the Wachings and the Asian boys. They never pressed me. They actually left me alone, and they were cool with me. So I wasn't untouchable, but nobody wanted to touch. So they just left me alone, and both sides. The gang, the Hispanic gang, the Latino gang that was there, and the Asian gangs, they just left me alone. And I just did my own thing. They knew I was a jock. They knew I was a football player. They knew I was a wrestler. None of them knew that I was a street fighter. None of them knew that that's how I grew up. So, but you tie all those in, and you have no idea what you're about to open up, and I just kept to myself, and just being me, and senior year comes, you're a senior, you're doing all that. And I did have an instance to where a freshman wanted to test the waters, and he blew me a kiss during a basketball game, and I lost it, and I just remember we had Kelly, which was the campus supervisor at the time. She came up and she saw how hot I was, and she grabbed me, and I literally flipped, and I pushed her so hard, and I said, don't you ever touch me. You touch me again and I'm going to knock you out, and I let her have it. And she's like, Jesse, I'm just trying to help you. I don't like to be touched, and I form of touching gets me angry like that, right? Because of all the stuff that I went through as a kid. And I went outside looking for this kid, and I can't remember his name. He used to be he was the old band instructor. He became vice principal. Saw me and he's like, Mijo, what's going on? And I'm just like, I'm about to kill this freshman right now. And he's like, no, let's talk. And I said, there ain't no talking. Move out of my way. And I just remember telling him, move out of my way. I took off my shirt. I had my wife beater on. I'm ready to go. And all my friends were like, dude, you can't stop him. He's going to get this kid. And I just remember him telling me, hold on, just wait right here. Give me a second. And I listened. And I don't know why I listened, but I listened. And he went and grabbed that kid. And he actually told that kid, run home now. And the kid's like, what? He goes, run home now. And the kid took off. And I didn't see him after that no more. But I was like, everything that I saw was red, right? And I just saw red. This kid was going to get destroyed. And vice principal stopped it, And then that's when everything just stopped for me as far as like wanting to fight, or ready to fight. After that instance, I ended up finishing high school early. I graduated in February right after wrestling season, and I still got to do everything the seniors did. I went to grad night again, and graduated stage and everything. But I just started working after that, and started my family.
I see. Yeah, thanks for sharing all of that with us, Jesse. We do ask each guest to bring something with them. What did you bring with you today?
I brought my my 2011 CIF championship ring.
Awesome. Can you show this camera? Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
I have never won anything.
Jesse?
Sure. I have never won anything in this magnitude before. At the time, I was just a dad. I was just a dad that was helping with wrestling with my kids, in the garage. I was taking my two oldest kids to a club in West Covina. One of my mentors, his name is Donnie Stevens. Donnie is a great man. He took us in. It was a little club going on, and he helped out and stuff. And I just remember we went to Florida for a wrestling tournament, national wrestling tournament for girls, and my daughter was a 7th grader. Matter of fact, she was an 8th grader. She was an 8th grader, and we took them out. We took about like 8 to 10 girls, something like that, and we go out there. And Donnie was a part of USA Wrestling, so he has a higher ground than I did, And he said, "I'm gonna need you to coach just a little bit more than what you thought." And I'm thinking, I'm just a dad. I'm just trying to be here for my daughter, and yell out a couple moves for her, and then we'll move on. And I said, no problem, whatever you need. So he goes in the meeting, and we have all of our girls, and they're going up against studs from different states or our state, right? California is a huge state for girls wrestling. That's powerhouse. And one of my girls that was wrestling, she was nervous and scared because the girl she was going up against took 2nd in state in California, and our girl didn't place in state. And she's like, "Coach, I got so-and-so." I said, "What are you afraid of? There's nothing to be afraid of. Just go out there and wrestle." And I got in her head, and I let her know, stop, just go have fun, and I coached her up. She ended up beating that girl. And then it was a domino effect. All these girls won. And Donnie comes out and he goes, "What the hell happened?" And I was like, "Oh man, I'm in trouble. Like I did something wrong." And I said, "I don't know what." And he goes, "How did she beat her? And I told him. And he was like, "What the heck?" And the girls went up to him afterwards and they said, "We need him. We need him on our staff, on our coaching staff." So he asked me to be a coach at West Covina. And I was like, "Sure, no problem." And I went over there. And I knew my role. I'm an assistant coach, whatever he needs help with, he's got far more experience than I do. And I'm like, "Okay, whatever you need." And he goes, "Have you ever won a title before?" And I said, "No." He goes, "Well, you're going to win one this year." And I was very like, "Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, sure. No, thank you. Yeah, cool. If it happens, it happens, but I was really nonchalant about it. And then we won this with the boys. And it came down to it was like a movie. And I just remember I broke down crying because I had never won anything like this before. And especially in that type of atmosphere. We ended up winning CIF with the boys, and we won CIF with the girls the same night. And that was the first time it's ever happened. And both buses got to the school at the same time. And you just seen the boys and the girls all run together. And they all hugged each other. They all cried, and it was an emotional moment. But that not only shaped me up for winning it that day, but it sparked something in me to be more of a mentor to these kids. And that's when it really started. It really resonated. Like, if you can help these kids win, you can help other kids win. And I started thinking about all those things. And then little by little, it just started happening. And, now I'm working in warehousing. I'm running my own warehouse, and I got to a point where I got tired of people telling me what to do that didn't do my job. And I just remember a plant manager got in trouble because she tried to get me in trouble, and I knew how to handle that and paperwork. And then they wanted to mess with my hours and take me away from coaching. I said, that's not gonna happen. So I made them lay me off, right? They had no choice. They laid me off. I talked to my wife about it. She's a nurse, so she's like, hey, go do what you need to do. So I started working in the school district. I started subbing. And just being able to win that title, that sparked that interest with the kids. Then I started working with kids. And then I started working with opportunity kids, which is opportunity kids are kids that have problems at home, problems in the group home and stuff like that. And then I saw myself in them. And then that's when I started resonating. Like, man, this is what I want to do. This is my calling. So that winning that ring, mind you, I have 2 more now, because we won state with the girls and we won CIF. We won state back to back. And that all just sparked that, and till where I'm at now, helping these kids and helping these kids understand that fighting is not the way. Use your sport. Yeah,
that's awesome. Thank you for bringing that in. I want to get into sort of how you've moved away from that and what you're doing now, but let's take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Sure.
Sometimes even the best of us can slip up. That's why the law offices of Scott Wormuth are here to pick you back up again.
And while they strive to get you the biggest compensation possible, oh my gosh,
their main concern is your health and recovery. They work closely with doctors and insurance companies to make sure you get the proper medical treatment.
Initial consultations are free, so give them a call.
At the law offices of Scott Wormuth, we're with you all the way.
I'm Scott Wormuth. We've been fighting for your rights for more than 40 years.
All right, we're back with Jesse. Jesse, before the break, you were sharing about your ring and what that sort of inspired or led to in your career. Before we go on with your story, when we come back from the break, we like to ask questions from this deck of cards called Icebreakers, and it's just a way for the audience to get to know all of us a little bit better. I'll answer, and Victoria will also answer. So here we go. Would you rather be the star player on a losing football team or ride the bench on a winning one?
I'd rather be the starter on a losing team. When you're faced with adversity, you got to learn how to persevere and push through. If I'm just sitting the bench, I'm not contributing anything significant other than being that team player that's sitting on the bench. But somebody like me that strives off of being in the game, I want every opportunity to do what I need to do.
That's an interesting perspective. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Victoria?
I don't know. I'm not very much one for attention, so I think star player you get a lot of attention, and yeah, so I think the bench kind of sounds more appealing to me, just because, yeah, the attention, and then you can share, I guess, the winning with everybody, but even if I don't contribute much to the winning, you need to cheer on the teammates, and they did a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. Well, I thought until your answer that I would want to be on a winning team on the bench, but just the competitive person that I am, I want to be in the game. But I would say on a losing team, you can still have a winning mentality. You can still have fun, and you can still go into practice, and you can still be like, hey, I know that we did our best. Mm-hmm. And you can still be a losing team. You can't predict that, right?
Right.
So I would for sure want to be the star player on a losing team, because I actually could be in there. I don't know that I can handle sitting on the bench, because then you can't contribute. But yeah. So if you're listening or watching, let us know. Would you rather be the star player on a losing football team or ride the bench on a winning one? Let us know. So Jesse, back to your story. So it seems like this winning was sort of the catalyst for change, and then you sort of found your calling, and you could see in young people that were struggling, that were at-risk youth, you can see a little of what you, or maybe a lot of what you had gone through, and your ability to speak to them. And so what along those lines are you doing now, or do you still do that kind of work?
So I'm mentoring kids now. Again, I work at San Dimas High School, somewhere where a lot of people, you would never see yourself there, right? People think of it as it's a bougie school. No, it's not. it's a great school. I only gave them 2 years of my life. They said, I'm only here for 2 years to coach, and that's it. Now I'm on my 12th year there coaching. The atmosphere there, the admin, oh my God, the admin is the best admin that I've ever encountered. The district, Bonita Unified School District is such a great place to work. It's awesome people, and it feels like a family atmosphere, something that I wasn't accustomed to. But being there, they give me the opportunity to be me. They know that, yes, I came from a rough upbringing. They understand that, and I'm curving myself. Even as today, I'm 47 years old, and I'm curving myself. I've recently in the last few months have accepted my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and I'm learning how to scale back. So what I let kids know now, aside from letting them know certain things, I give them my life, and it opens up their horizons. Like, whoa, he has been through this. Like, he's going through what I went through. So I give them that, but now I let them know, like, what I'm doing now, and I'm not doing it for you. I'm not doing it for my wife. I'm not doing it for my kids. I'm doing it for me, because I feel I'm tired of being angry. And because I'm doing it for me, you're going to get a better coach. You're going to get a better mentor. You're going to get a better employee. You're going to get a better thing. So there's still always room for growth within me. And so when you get that growth within me, you're going to get that growth within these children, and my job is safety first. So everybody on that campus, their safety comes before mine. And I hold that to the highest regard, because I don't want nobody getting hurt. I want to be able to make sure that I'm there for them. And that's what it has. It's been a great opportunity being at San Dimas High School. The sport culture there is far superior. We're a small school. I think it's like 1,399 students, but we're very mighty. Prior to us getting in here, I just let you know that my daughter played in a flag football game. That's a CIF. It was a third round CIF championship game. First year program to do that it was awesome. Helping the flag team out, helping these girls, help mentoring them to become the best athlete they can possibly be, let alone be in the classroom like that. I'm helping them learn how to be better people in general in life. And then like I said, I've been coaching wrestling there for 12 years, going on my 12th year. I do the same thing with those young women there too. And our program is one of the better programs around the area. And I couldn't have done that without the support of my wife, because of course you have to have a wife that supports you in doing what you want to do instead of fighting with you. So she's my partner. She's there with me. But I have an admin that fully supports, athletic directors fully support, school district that fully supports. It's an opportunity to get these kids a different perspective on life through sport.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I do, let alone the campus supervisor. I'm always with them, so they try to hide and get out of classes, like, go ahead and test me. I'm gonna give you the detention, but they already know, like, oh, that's coach. Don't mess with coach.
See, well, Jesse, it really sounds like you've turned your adversity into something positive, not just for yourself, but for the young people that you're around and influencing their lives. Jesse, we're going to move on to the final segment of the show where we get to learn what you like in the San Gabriel Valley. Jesse, this is what we call the SGV3, and we get to learn what are your favorite or most memorable places or experiences in the San Gabriel Valley. So,
my number one is Marquepo High School. That's where I met my wife. I had a lot of memories there. Doing things, doing crazy things as a kid too. Don't get me wrong. Just a lot of things that we did there. Marquepo had a huge impact on my life, even more so because of the coaches that were there too. Like Coach Samita, God rest his soul. He was the only man that I can sit there and say that he tried to do what he needed to do as a fatherly figure, a mentor for me. And I model a lot of my coaching after him. And it's because of Marquepo High School. That was my top one.
Awesome.
So my second one, it was Chanos. I don't know if you remember Chanos.
Oh, Was it the Chanos that on Garfield?
Yes, on Garfield.
And it was
hill.
it became like a Taco Bell, but it was Chanos before.
Yeah, there was Chanos. Because my wife and I, when we were boyfriend girlfriend, I remember she took me on a ride with all of her friends, and I'm her sophomore with all these seniors, and I was a shy boy, plain shy boy, you know, and made her feed me fries because I didn't want to grab them, so she fed me fries, you know. But it was not just the fries they get. You know, the food was good. I miss Chanos. I miss Chanos.
Oh man, I remember that. That was right. There was like a Baskin Robbins right next door, and then there was like a laundromat right. Like, and Duffy Liquor was right there on
the side. Yeah, on the other side. Yeah, right there on the other side. I think it's still there, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know. I haven't been there in a long time.
I don't roll through anywhere no more. You know, Monterey Park and the areas over here. You know, but that was one of my favorite spots. And then, you know, my last favorite one, I'm going there right now. As soon as we finish there, I'm gonna go to Dim Sum Express.
Okay,
right there on Garfield. You know, because they have the best shumais and the baos. You know, so we always, every time we're out here, that's where we go.
Are you talking about that little like standalone building?
The little hole in the wall that everybody
you can't even see their face. Like you just order and then like just they slide out food.
Yep. You can only have cash there. You can't use card. It's only cash.
Man, is it still painted pink? It was pink for a long time, like a long time ago.
I want to say it's white now.
Okay.
If I'm remembering it, I'm visualizing it in my head right now. If I remember, it's white.
Okay. It's back in the day, it used to be pink though, for sure. Mm-hmm. And they would slide out this big pink box.
Yeah, the pink boxes. they don't do the pink boxes no more. I don't remember. I think they're white boxes or white. You know, they put them in different things. But yeah, they used to be pink boxes.
And the char siu bao was like really big.
Yeah.
Huge, right?
Yeah.
Like this big.
Yeah, it still is. It still is. It might be a little bit smaller, but I mean, you can't beat that. You can't. You know, everybody wants to say, "Oh, well, you know, this place and this place." No. It's little holes in the walls that you got to pay attention to.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh man, I haven't been there in a long time.
Yeah, like I'm hungry now.
Yeah. Well, I hope you enjoyed that meal. Well, Jesse, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your story with us, and being vulnerable and sharing those, you know, difficult times in your life. If you know, people want to get in touch with you, or is there a social media, or like how can people do that?
Yeah, to be honest, my phone number is out there on the internet. You know, as a coach, you know, you can find me on social media on my San Dimas Lady Saints Instagram, my girls wrestling team. You know, you can reach me at sdladysaints@yahoo.com. You know, you can reach me any which way. You know, I'm open to talk about my life, and hopefully this finds youth that can use a mentor, you know, or even adults. You know, I've mentored adults, you know, that have been incarcerated, you know, and helping them persevere through things, you know. But you can reach me any which way, you know. If they want to reach me through you, they can reach me through you.
Sure. All right. Well, Jesse, thank you again for coming on the show and sharing your story with us. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you.
Well, there you go. Another show in the books for you. I was really taken by Jesse's vulnerability to share how his upbringing was and how difficult a life he had to endure. And, you know, I can understand that person, you know, who's dealing with so many things and not having the tools and not having the support to sort of process all of those feelings and emotions. And, you know, just for me, when I see or hear of somebody, especially youth, you know, either with drugs or violence or whatever, like I automatically think, what are they going through? You know, what are the struggles that they have? And I don't automatically think, oh, there's a troubled person or like just a bad kid. Although they may exist, I still think that there's something else going on behind there. So thank you for spending this time with us. Don't forget to like and share. If you like this kind of content, please hit that subscribe button. And if you want to see the full catalog of episodes, check out our website, mysgv.net. And please consider supporting this show in a more meaningful way. Please become a patron on Patreon. You can find us under MySGV Podcast. And until next week, we'll see you then. Thank you for joining us on the MySGV Podcast. Check out more of our content on our website, mysgv.net. This show was produced by Scott Wormuth, directed by Russell Mano, edited by Victoria Allers, and original music by Yone OG. If you'd like to join us next week as we capture and share more stories from our diverse community, feel welcome.
Nice mother. No, kind of mother.